Welcome to Colonie TV, the governmental educational channel for the town of Colonie.
Hi, I'm Supervisor Paula Mahan, and welcome to Colonie Connect. Today we have our very own Library Director, Richard Naylor, as our guest. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Paula. Thank you.
How are you today?
Well, the weather is not so great, but I'm feeling very good.
That's good. Well, we all have to find cool places with this 90-degree plus weather here, but I guess this is what we've all been waiting for. We were waiting for the rain to stop. So now we're waiting for the heat to stop. So, oh well, we can't control those things.
No.
We're going to talk about the library. You have some new things going on around the library.
Right.
And one of those new things is the library garden. And it's going to be near the entrance. Maybe you could give us an update as to how it's going and what its purpose is.
One of our staff members came up with the idea, I think last fall, that we should do some kind of a garden area where kids could maybe get a story told to them and where people could sit and read. And the reason it's so appealing is that the library was built in '76. We circulate about 3 times more books than we did then, much busier than we ever were. And so space is a premium. And if you look at building space, to put on new space, you talk $250 or $300 a square foot. Well, I figure, look, 50 by 50 is $750,000 worth of space that's just sitting there. And while it's not, you know, the highest use that we could make of something, all the money that we've raised, and we can talk about that, is from the public. And so we are extending the library, which gives us people a place to use the library, to read books, to think about reading. So put those two things together, and it makes it look a lot better.
It sounds good. You know, it's a great creative way of expanding the use of the library, and the kids love to go outside. They love to be outdoors. So it's a great idea, and I'm glad it's coming to fruition. It's kind of like extending your home with an outdoor living space, which a lot of people are doing today. You know, rather than adding on to the house itself, they're using available land that they have. And it's just so inviting, and it's just great to be outdoors. So we're excited about that.
Thank you.
And I know the Boy Scouts are helping us, specifically Sean and Matt. Kusha is their last name, and they came to visit me with their mom last year, and we talked about the library garden and what they had to offer. So not only are we going to have a new place for young people to go out and enjoy the outdoors and read, but we have young people involved in building this. So I think that even makes it more special. And I did see them not too long ago. I think it was the day that we had we gave out the seedlings.
Okay, great.
And we had lots of people here to pick up the free seedlings. We seem to go out of the seedlings very quickly, and people love that our little conservation day that we have. But I saw the boys, and they were working on the garden, and some of the other scouts were here. They had a little bake sale going on. And they're really working hard on this. Maybe you could tell us what their part is, what they're building and what they're working on.
Well, anybody who, and this was a little new for me, anybody who's gone through the Eagle Scout process with a scout kind of sees the complexity of the planning process that they go through. They have to start at the beginning, they have to interview, they have to draw up plans, almost as if they were going to build something as a commercial enterprise. And so then they take, after consulting with us, they take it back to their leader, and they look at it, and they have to get that approved. And so in the process, they've spoken to you, and they've spoken to Public Works. after all that, they have to go out and raise money, which they've done, the bake sale, but then they also approach people in the community, companies. And so I think now they're close to having enough money to build the furniture and to start planting some bushes. And so between that and the bricks that we've sold, we've really gotten to where I don't have to worry that it's going to be finished. And the Hudson Adirondack Daylily Society is also going to be planting a lot of flowers.
Oh, great.
So we're having a lot of community involvement, and it's wonderful.
That's great. I think you know, the idea of the bricks is a great idea, and I think it sounds like you're coming right along with the funds. Do you need to raise more money at this point, or are you where you need to be?
Well, the path was the thing I worried about the most because it was totally our responsibility, and the bricks have totally paid for that now. They've also, we have enough to buy a couple of umbrellas.
Great.
And with the heat this summer, you know, I stood out there with my wife looking at it, and she said, "This is hot out here."
Yes.
Well, everybody's running from their patios when it's 93 degrees. But sun is also something we try to not be out in too much, and so we thought around the tables, just like it was a restaurant, something that's aesthetically fits with the building. Put a couple umbrellas so people can sit in the shade.
That's great.
And that makes it a lot easier to read your white pages.
And there are many times when we get nice days, a lot of nice days in the spring, a lot of nice days in the fall. So it won't just be summer. You know, it'll be available during the nice weather when we get those.
And I forgot to finish that. Actually, the question was about the money. And
yes.
So we're going to continue raising money through the fall, or until we say, okay, this is perfect. Right now, we can't see that it's perfect. We probably have enough for some of the bushes and some of the flowers. We're probably still short. So we need to push on another month or two, maybe 3, and then I think we should be good.
Great. Well, I know it's going to be a big success, so I really think it's a great addition to the library. You have so many visitors here, especially in summertime. The students are out of school, and they look for activities to, you know, kind of keep some academics going over the summer, and the library is the perfect place to be. So I'm looking forward to the actual, maybe we'll have a little ribbon cutting.
I think we should.
I think we should, yes. And I think we owe the Scouts, especially Sean and Matt, a great thank you for doing everything they need to do for their responsibilities as Eagle Scouts. So this is it's not an easy thing to achieve.
They took on a large project for
Yes.
the Eagle Scout.
They did. And we've talked periodically about some other changes in the library, what we might be seeing in the future, things like that. Do we have any changes that you'd like to talk about? Since the last time we did a show, we talked about some things that might be coming, you know, down the road in the future. So
I think a lot of the vision that we had a couple of years, last year, still are exactly right on. We still need places to separate the quiet people who look to come to the library. We've had an attorney from the town come over and say, you know, I need to work on something. I can't work in my office. For those people, we want to have quiet, or a student who's trying to concentrate. And I know growing up, my parents had the TV on at night. On the one hand, you know, you should make good grades, but on the other hand, why don't you help the child by not having so much noise?
right.
And so the library has always been a place where people should be able to go and quietly study. But then they also want to work in groups, and this is really big today. And so we'd like eventually to kind of make some rooms so that this is a quiet area and this is a place where you can collaborate.
Yes.
And then because we've grown so much, we never had a place to put our book trucks. Well, people don't think about it, but if you circulate 360,000 books, they go in, they come out, and you handle them a couple times, and some people are asking for books, so you have to look for them. And we need to have books on trucks until we get them to the shelf. Because you can't have somebody waiting for the book to come in and then run to the shelf. That's that's not efficient. So we need a little more room for that. And we need room for probably a mid-sized program room eventually, where rather than 120 or 150 people like the Stedman Room, we could do something for 20. And that's more of a modest addition. But a few things like that, I think eventually, because of ebooks, we probably could scale back our original ideas. We don't have to double the size of the book stacks. They may be pretty close to what we need. But we haven't seen the book circulation go down in the last year. It's actually up from last year. So ebooks are 60%, 50 to 60% higher, but regular books are slightly higher also.
It's interesting. Well, you know, it's like everything else. When computers first came in, it took people a long time to get, you know, to use them on a daily basis, and now technology has taken over, and some people, you know, they really enjoy the traditional way of opening up a book and whether it be a hardcover or paperback or magazine, whatever, it's just that relaxing way of reading a book. And some people will never change. I mean, they'll never go on to ebooks. But I think the younger generation definitely will move in that direction.
An
more.
interesting thing about the young people, this I just read in a new study yesterday, that teens, up to 19, let's say that demographic, they actually prefer paper. And they're actually reading a paper book. 70% of them have read a paper book in the last year, whereas 69, less have read, maybe 64, of older people have read a paper book in the last year. It seems like they don't think about the device so much for the book. Whereas somebody gives me a little box, I think, oh, I could read a book on it. Somebody gives them a little box, oh, I could do Facebook on it.
Right.
So it's totally separate to
Yes,
them. And the book is like, oh, I read books, but
Right.
this is the book.
Yeah, they have different uses for the technology, and I think ebook I'm trying to think of the
Like the Kindle.
Kindle.
And the
Yes,
Nook
that's
and-
the word I was
right.
looking for. They make a great gift.
They
so
do.
a lot of parents are getting and grandparents are getting the Kindle as a gift. I don't have one yet. I still read you know, paper books, and I'm a little old-fashioned with that. So
I have paper books. I have a stack of them. I'm
Yes.
reading.
So we all come along eventually, but you know, the ebooks are changing the way libraries operate, and we'll see more of that as we move into the future. And as you say, the library itself, the dynamics of what go on each day, needing some space for some activities and collaborative projects to go on. That's what the students today are learning, and they're learning to work in groups and take on different roles and work in a collaborative manner, because when they go out into to college or the workforce, they're going to have to work collaboratively to be successful in their positions. And we've found over the years that certain people have more strengths and expertise in certain areas, and when you engage in that collaborative process, you get to share a lot more knowledge, and you can really expand the learning. So the group type of activities are being promoted in schools, which is a good thing. And of course, we're an extension, in a way, of schools, and so when the kids come, they're going to need that space to do those activities so they don't disturb other people. So I can see
how that
very,
works.
very well how that works, and what's coming down the road in the future. What's interesting with the dynamics of ebooks and the impact on how much space we need for our paper books, in a short period of time, our thought processes changes.
At first we thought they were taking over the universe
Yes.
in 2 years, and now it's more, we don't know. The numbers of books sold, and this is everything, including all the Amazon and everything, even though Amazon said that their sales of ebooks had passed the paper products that they sell, the paper books. Last year there were more paper books sold in every category except the little bitty mass market paperbacks that you would take to the beach. That has gone down a lot. All the other ones are up.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Well, I think, you know, I think there's an emphasis on taking some time in our busy lives, because it's things really have gotten hectic. Our lives are much busier than they were in the past, and you need to just take a step back and take some time to do something that's relaxing. And sitting down and reading a book is very relaxing, and it's a luxury. It's a luxury in our busy days. So I hope we can promote more and more and more of that. And I know you all do a great job of promoting that here at the library. Yes, we're a very, very busy library. Do you have a current number of about how many visitors we have?
We get about 350,000 a year.
350,000 a year. That's amazing.
So I think nationally they've done numbers, and they've said there are more library visits than all the NASCAR people and all the this and the that. So when you look at it, this just happens all the time. We're open 60 hours a week, and people come in all day. Sometimes I look around the library and it doesn't look as busy as the parking lot, but you look at the parking lot and you realize there are people all over the place. Yesterday I came back from a meeting and there were no parking places on much of the library parking lot. We always have parking lot. We're very blessed with a large parking lot, but you have to walk a little more.
Yes, yes. Well, usually when I pull in, it's pretty full, and we are fortunate that we have enough space. But 350,000 visitors that's amazing. That's amazing, and with the size of our staff, the resources that we have to work with. You all do a fantastic job, because it's not easy to service that many people in such a nice manner that we get lots of compliments on our library.
Well, I think the town's policy of not laying anyone off, we did have to trim some hours, and we had to let and not replace people, but that makes the people who are here much more positive about dealing with the problems and making it work with what we have. And
exactly.
We're lean, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and you know, it's really it's a team effort on everyone's part, because you know, being in a situation where things over the last several years, and then the recession on top of everything, when things got tighter, you know, we put our thoughts together. Again, using that collaborative approach that our kids are learning. And really, along with your staff, we all worked together and accomplished what we needed to accomplish to keep things going. And I think people are you know, genuinely interested in having the library be you know, high quality and really servicing the public. And doing that well, and so they put all their efforts into it, and you know, pulling together, we get the job done, and this is a sign of the times, and it's happening everywhere. So we're fortunate to have such a good staff that's willing to do what needs to be done.
Couldn't agree more.
And of course, a lot of credit goes to you, because it falls on your shoulders as the director.
To some extent, it's keeping out of their way. You know,
Yes.
we keep the focus,
Yeah.
but don't try to oversteer the boat. You know, it's just keep going straight.
Well, I'm really, you know, I'm always pleased to hear that things are going well. And we've talked about the e-books and where libraries are going. You know, as a longtime educator, I'm always interested in how we interact with our schools, and I know we have a history of working well with our schools. How's that going?
Yeah, it's always been a question, and it's always been a challenge. There's such an obvious connection. When kids had to use books in the evenings, every table would be full. So they would go from school to the library. So it was almost like an extension of the school. Today, everybody's doing different things. They're on the computers more, so much is remote. They can work in their bedroom and use the library. But we still work with the school. So every fourth grader gets a library visit every year. That way, we've touched them all.
Yes.
And in the summer, we're especially close, because now we have all the reading lists from the schools. they still have their Common Core and all those issues that we're trying to address, and trying to get closer to them and work with them on that Common Core issue. But there's all the things that we've been doing, the reading list. So the parent comes in, and we have the South Colonie, the Shaker, we have all the reading lists. So now I think kids are still reading a couple books a summer. They have to. And we help them find their book, and then off they go. And with the summer reading, we have teen volunteers. And so our real goal in the summer is to keep the kids thinking and reading, but having a good time at it. So that's our bonus. The schools, they have to meet certain criteria. They have to be able to pass that test. And with the library, we can say, well, let's find something you like to read. And so we have a real advantage in terms of being friendly and kids liking to come here.
Yes.
Well, they don't have to come here, so that's really the only way it would work. And so we really know that if a kid reads a book in the summer, 2 books in the summer, doesn't lose everything, it makes up for the fact that we probably have too long a summer for these kids.
We have a very long summer, and we know that the students being off in the summer was based on years ago when kids worked on the farms, and it was an agrarian society, and it was a little different. Most kids today, well, many in our area, do get involved in various summer programs, and some of them are academics, some of them are programs that they have a special interest in, the arts or athletics, things like that. So thankfully they have some options to keep busy over the summer, but the reading lists that are provided by the schools and that program that they have to accomplish over the summer is really very, very important. They have reading, and they do get a choice. They get a choice of what they'd like to read based on the list. So there's something, you know, for everyone's interest, as well as the projects that go along with that. So it takes in the reading skills, comprehension, writing skills, creativity, all of those things that you don't want them to lose over the summer. And it's really a nice boost when the kids come in September, and that's one of their first grades. They have their projects that they turn in, and so they, with their English teachers, you know, that's what they're looking at to see, you know, how well they did on their project, what kind of effort they put forth. So the kids take a lot of pride in that, and especially as in the younger grades, and even at the junior high school level where I was. I mean, it's important for parents to really place a lot of emphasis on something like that, and it is something that provides an opportunity for the kids to come to the library in the summer. And you also have the summer reading program, and I know we have usually the end of the year celebration over at the Prine House.
Right? We expect about 1,000 people. We're over 900 right now. There's still people signing up. And so usually about 1,000. When you think about that, it's just about a school of people that are involved. And so if they read 4 weeks worth, because we used to count the books, but then people would say, I want the small book, because well, it's not fair if I read a book that's 500 pages and he read the pony and, you know, and something that was 60 pages, why should that count the same? So we go by pages, and if they read enough over the 4 weeks and they complete that, then we invite them to the finale at the Prine House. And that information even goes to the school.
Yes, and it's really a fun time for the kids. And they get, you know, rewarded for the good work that they did over the summer. But the 900 students, when I left the junior high, and I think that was 2008, we had about 800 students. So you do have a full school.
Almost a school.
You have a full school. So that's another huge task to take on. But we have the beautiful grounds over at the Prine House, and again, working together with them, it provides a great activity for the kids and a great reward. So I'm glad to hear that's going well, and we keep that going, because it is extremely important for the kids to have some type of academic routine over the summer. It'd be great great all year if kids could sit down each night and read for just a half an hour each night, and sometimes the younger kids reading with their parents. It's a great activity together. But you can't stress the reading and writing skills. It's practice. It's like anything else, practicing for a sport. You know, if you play baseball, you practice pitching, you practice hitting, throwing the ball. It's the same thing with reading and writing. You practice, 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 and some people move along faster than others, but if you practice enough, you get to where you need to be.
I think a wonderful thing about books, and I've learned 2 foreign languages, working on German. I'm getting pretty close. I've spent days talking German and no English. And what I found is that reading a book is so powerful in terms of vocabulary. You can feel comfortable saying simple things, but if the words for more complicated things don't come, it's kind of an uncomfortable day, you know, spending a day with somebody. How many times can you say, how's the weather, and are you hungry? But books give you, and each person writes differently.
Yes.
So they have a different style. So you learn to communicate with that writer in a way, and each one uses a different vocabulary. So you learn all these new words, and it's been a long time since I've been 14 or 15, but I can
Not
see
that long.
I can see how that works.
Well, it is very important, and I'm pleased to say, you know, the majority of the families really place a lot of importance on that, and the schools do an awful lot to engage the families, the children and the parents in some type of reading program over the summer. So that's very good for us.
And you really can't do it without the families. That's where
no,
it starts.
it's a family activity.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a good family activity.
Right.
We only have a few minutes left. There are a few things that you also handle here at the library. Paper magazines, are they still used a lot?
This is a subject of a lot of debate, I guess, in libraries. They're not used the same way. We used to be able to buy, maybe they would say, well, how many magazines do you have? Not because people needed to come in and browse 400 magazines, but the kids need to then find the reports in those magazines. And so there was no internet in 1980. It's amazing that it wasn't until the 90s that the internet really took off, which is kind of, I mean, we live with that now as if it's part of our fingers almost. And so the reason that we get them has changed. And now it really is just you come in and you read the newspaper. And so we've cut back somewhat. We try to keep enough for everybody to have something to read, but we're not trying to build a back file, because all that, from any as long as they have their Colonie library card, they could be anywhere in the world, and they could search 8,000 full-text periodicals on all kinds of topics.
Wow.
Which, you know, Google is, I think it's fantastic. It's made it so that you can sit at a table and somebody says, now what was that actor's name? And 2 seconds later your teenager has said, oh, it was Tom Hanks or whatever. I couldn't remember his name. But there's all this database and research that's done, and nobody gives it away, and we're all trying to figure out how we can share it. The publishers are pressed for profits. They're combining, and they're putting pressure on writers. So the big publishers might be a problem as much as a solution. We used to have the Alfred Knopf, you know, a lovely publisher, and you could say, well, they publish all these nice books, and now we have Random Penguin, or Penguin Random, whatever it was. They publish so many of our books. All of those imprints are owned by this one company now. And so the writers have no choice.
It's a different world.
You can't go to another subpart. It's all, this is what we give you, so they don't get as much. So they're going to small publishers. And the world is fighting this out about how we're going to end up publishing and sharing. But I think ebooks has driven the prices down, so right now people are benefiting from that.
Well, I'm amazed at the little 2-3-year-olds, and you see them with the phones, and with their little thumbs, and they're already learning how to use the technology and iPads and looking at this and that. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And so I think we're just about out of time, and I'm really so pleased with all of the successes here at the library. Really excited about the grand opening of the Reading Garden. So we've got a lot of great things going on. So thank you for doing such a fantastic job here, and to all the staff here at the library in Colonie. And we're really in a great spot. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for tuning into Colonie Connect.